What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Rodeo Wagon podcast. This is brought to you by Western Edge app and produced by Cosmic Cowboy. We're here with Brady SIMS. Man, your kind of little journey has taken a big spin the last few years. I didn't even go like rodeoing and stuff. I mean, I kind of came around later, so I came from the outside. I wasn't even around rodeo.
Right.
And so I was kind of right around that little area, and at that point when I was getting started, you were probably just getting into like going PBRs, and I don't, did you rodeo much when you were younger?
Well, whenever I was a kid, I mean, that's basically all I did. But as far as like professionally, I think I went to like 2 PRCA rodeos, and then at that point in time, that wasn't where I wanted to be. So I was like, PBR is where I'm going. Went to PBR for 10 years anyways. Did that, and then the end of my career, I was going back rodeoing. So.
Rodeoing. Yeah, you went with who did you go with that last year?
Jack Gilmore.
Jack, yeah. And I'm surprised he hasn't got to the yellow chutes yet.
I know it.
I think he'll get there.
He
can keep hammered down.
He's got the talent. He's just got to get it between his ears, and he'll be able to do it.
And how much of it, like with a rodeo, because I don't even know honestly, but I know you have like circuit finals, and then you have the the NFR and the scheduling. Like just because you go win your circuit doesn't mean anything towards going to the NFR. Like, how does that even work, scheduling to even make the NFR?
Well, see, and that's the thing. Like, to me, in my mind, I had it one way, and Jack had it the other way, and Jack will be able to do it off of his way for sure. But in my opinion, I was like, let's go get on the least amount of bulls for the most amount of money and make it. He's young. He's, hungry. He's wanting to do it. So he doesn't mind hitting, 25 rodeos a month. And I was like, no, I don't want that. So I was like,
well, it was kind of towards the end of your career.
Exactly.
When you were doing it.
Yeah.
Man, I feel like that's one thing, like, for me, starting out later, I feel like I'm just now hitting that groove of, like, I'm riding good. I'm just now finding my own in my riding.
Yeah.
Because I started so late. Like, I was 18. I see guys right now riding at 18. I'm like, man, I just started at that point. Like, they're, so just now finding it. So I'm like, man, I still got a lot of time. I'm just now getting into the groove of it, even though I'm, 29.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, for you, I mean, dude, you were freaking grinding since you were probably 10. I don't know when you started getting on the road, but
forever. And that's what I mean. Like, I'm jealous of it. Like, I'm jealous. I envy the drive you have, the drive Jack has, the drive, Creek Young, whoever, you name them. I'm jealous of it because I was like, man, I remember that. I remember that. Whenever it was just eat, sleep, breathe. It's all you ever wanted to do. And like I said, now, I mean, I'm fine with it. Like I'm not upset about, me not having it anymore. But it is one of them things, like I said, I envy it. I'm jealous of it. Like whenever people say, hitting this, hitting that, like, I'm like, oh, I remember that. I remember that.
Being on the road.
Yeah, being gone for 4 or 5 months at a time, I'd be gone from, beginning of May until middle of September. Like I'd sleep in my own bed once.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I wouldn't want it any other way.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, it's kind of a weird balance because, like, when I was, 22, and I was kind of getting in the groove of just being on the road. Like, I remember having an apartment and, I paid rent, but I didn't live there. I was gone all the time. It was a waste of money. In fact, but at that time, like right now, we got this van, and me and Keith live out of this van. Like, this summer, we're getting ready to hit it really hard because they're taking, like they did last year, unless the team picks you up and you're going somewhere, they're taking the top 5 to the UTV.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you right now, you want to start the year off on the UTV because those first few months, there's nowhere else to go.
Nowhere
You
else.
can get some points that will put you to the World Finals.
Yep.
So, the way we're looking at it is like we're going hard this summer,
Right.
If we're within 16 hours of the next touring pro the next day, we're going to be there.
Going.
Yeah.
Yep.
But you have a kind of a van to live out of and stuff. And the one thing that for me has been the biggest challenge is now I have a family.
Right.
So rodeo is almost out of the question for me as far as that's concerned, just because I'm not going to be on the road that long.
Right.
Like I love the PBRs as far as I put just as many miles, but it's like I'm home at least 3 or 4 days a week.
Right.
You know.
Right. It's more for a family thing.
Yeah, sure. So it's kind of it fits,
Yeah.
Whereas like those younger guys, man, they live. Grayson Cole,
That's what I'm saying.
he lives on the road.
That's what I'm
Like
saying.
that's all.
That was me. I loved it. I hated being home. I hated it. But that's my thing too. Like kudos to you. Kudos to a lot of guys, that have families and still doing it, because that's me. Like, you have to have a completely different mindset than me, a completely different one.
Right.
Because in my mind, whenever I was riding, if I got hurt, if I didn't make any money, oh well, who cares?
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Because it was like, it's just me.
Right.
But like for you and like I said, everybody else that does have families and still competes, like you want to talk about mental toughness. Like to me, you all are mentally more tough than I am, because you have to block all that out and still go win and compete.
For sure.
Me, I didn't have to block it out because I didn't worry about it. Like I said, if I broke my leg or my arm or something, oh, that sucks. I'm out for 4 months. Dang it. Dadgum. And then we're right back at it, So I respect everybody that has a family.
That's the wildest thing to even think about, that there's, people out there that would just be like, yeah, break my, the worst part about breaking my arm is that I can't ride bulls for 3 months.
Exactly.
And that's really
and that's the truth
the
of
mindset.
it. Yep.
Yeah.
And that's what, in my mind, I think the closest people to the mentality that we have is UFC fighters. Because, I mean, we're man versus beast. I get it. But those dudes are warrior versus warrior. And they are literally going into that ring absolutely knowing there's 100% chance I am getting smoked in the face. I very well could be knocked out, very well could break my arm, break my leg, break my ankle, break my pinkies, break my nose. Don't care. We're going in anyway. And I feel like that's the closest relatable to us on mindset wise, because just like a guy I was talking to, can't think of his name. I was just talking to him a couple days ago. Anyway, he raced motorcycle or motocross.
Oh, motocross.
And that's who it is. The guy here in town, the mechanic, Jerry.
Oh, okay.
And so he was sitting there like, I would never ever get on a bull, ever. You could never put me on a bull. He's like, that is the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. He's like, no. He's like, you all are nuts. And I was like, if you go to a motocross race, like, those guys aren't the most sane of people either.
Yeah, right.
But to them, we were even higher than that.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think, for me, I think the UFC guys are on a pedestal to me.
Yeah, I agree. I think UFC, another one that, and I haven't met any, so I don't know what the mindset is, but there's big wave surfers, and I'm not talking about just just surfers, like the guys that are getting on the monster waves. That's another one, because freaking, I mean, you screw up, that could cost you your life real quick.
Your life in a hurry.
And I always wondered, kind of what their mentality, because it would maybe be more similar, because like you said, UFC, you're about to get hit in the face.
Yeah.
You know it. Like you're not gonna strap them. Okay, maybe there's that one time where you clock a guy just right.
And don't have to
do nothing. But like with those big wave surfers, like if they do everything right, they're okay.
Yeah.
And if we do everything right,
exactly,
we're pretty much okay. Like
exactly.
If you make a good get off, and it may not happen all the time, but
it doesn't. Then that's my thing too. Just like where you're leading with it is, the injuries really don't happen as much as people do think.
Right.
Like in bull riding. Like everybody thinks every single time you just get absolutely obliterated. And it's like, no, really? I mean, yeah, you might do your little bumps and bruises. Your finger might hurt. Your thumb might be jammed. Knee might be tweaking. You know about that?
Yeah.
Elbow might be bad. But as far as like actually legitimately getting hurt because of the bull.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen that much.
Yeah.
I mean, really. Think about it. We're going to watch, 40 guys tonight?
40 or 45, something like that.
Yeah, and, I mean, honestly, probably 40 guys are going to get away from the bull just fine.
Yeah, for sure.
Nothing's going to happen.
And you have bullfighters. And, I mean, I think some of it, is, really due to that. Like, you go to good events tonight, go to PBRs, your bigger pro rodeos, Like those guys. I
Yeah.
mean,
So good.
you're not even worried.
Exactly.
Like it's almost you almost have to fall right underneath that sucker.
Like literally.
Literally.
Underneath. And then the bullfighters just not do anything.
Yeah.
Then you'll get
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, other than that, and that's what I mean, like people think we're crazy and cool or whatever. We only have to deal with one bull, well, two tonight.
Yeah.
We have to deal with one bull or two bulls. That's it for the whole night. Those bullfighters are dealing with 40,
Yeah.
50, 60, however many. And they are in front of every single one of them.
Talk about a workout. Those guys, that's actually intense.
It's like very intense. And then same time too, like I said, those guys catch a horn in the thigh, dead leg from hell, and then have to be out there the next bull to protect the next guy. And then he could get run over, get stepped on in the shoulder after he got frogged in the leg. And guess what? He has got to get up and be there for the next
And
guy.
that's one thing too, like you get a freaking dead leg from these bulls, and that's legit, man. Like it's
It's
almost
different.
it'll go straight to the bone.
Yeah.
I got one earlier this year, and you wouldn't think nothing of it. At first, I thought I got stepped on. It was so bad, and
Yeah.
I look back at the video, I'm like, no, that was just a horn.
Just the horn.
That was just a horn, and it went all the way deep down into my
Yeah.
like.
Yes.
That's a different kind, and then bullfighters, that happens to them. They don't get a limp back to the locker room, or
And just like that, they, like with us, we're one and done, or we're one and done for a while. And then maybe if like tonight there's a short round, say you caught a horn in the thigh or something. Man, that really freaking hurts. But I still got 45 minutes before I have to get on a short rounder.
Yep.
So you're sitting there icing, whatever, working it out, whatever, getting it loosened up enough. Like I said, for that 45 minutes we're back there sitting down, if they got it done, they are out there for 45 more minutes.
Yeah.
And then the short round. So that's what I mean. Like, people think we're crazy. Those bullfighters,
Yeah,
they're a different breed.
It is. And
Different
now
breed.
they're doing all of this stuff, that like, so now you're, okay, transitioning that. So, you kind of, your focus there and your love for that, but you've transitioned that into, you're raising bucking bulls
Mhm.
and, you're helping with some of this production stuff. You've probably taken a wider view
Yeah.
of the entire industry
Yeah.
and kind of what's going on. One of the new things within the industry is the bullfighting.
Yeah.
And, everybody talked about this team stuff, and that's cool. I'll tell you right now, that bullfighting team, whoever, was it Webster that put that on?
I think
That's the wildest thing I think I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Me and Keith are in Fort Worth, and we're just sitting
It's
there,
cool.
and we watched that, and we're like, yeah, this is nuts.
Yeah.
This is a whole different level of nuts.
And, like Webster, will obviously go down as, if not the greatest, one of the greatest bullfighters ever.
Yeah.
But
100%.
He is very good at being imaginative, coming up with things that you're like, do what now? And then he's like, just watch. And then he'll do something, and you're like, okay, that was cool.
That was
That
cool,
was
yeah.
cool. And I think that deal down there at Fort Worth, that what do they call it? Not running of the bull. Anyways, they have a name for it. Gosh dang it. Anyhow, but that deal down there at Fort Worth, I feel like for him, that's like his guinea pig. Like, he's like, hey, I got an idea. We're going to try it. We're going to try this. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Well, like I said, then he does stuff all the time, and you're like, that was super
That
cool.
was super cool, yeah.
Cool right there.
What are some other things that you're kind of seeing from like a production standpoint, as far as taking that step back, like certain things you focus on more, how you're kind of that passion? Is it strictly just, are you strictly doing, bulls and raising bucking bulls? Are you kind of looking at, in the future of kind of, putting on productions or
Yeah.
being part of some of that stuff?
Yeah, I am actually, and I love bucking bulls, obviously, and I love raising them. I like, whenever people say it is a passion, it is an absolute passion. Because if you think about it, we're the dumbest people out there. I mean, the dumbest. Because you're taking an animal that, is, you're hoping that you have the right cow picked out, put the right bull on that cow, hoping that something comes out of it that is athletic, that bucks like you want it to, that can go on and compete or go to the World Finals or the NFR or whatever. You're literally hoping. There's zero guarantee.
Yeah.
Zero. And whenever you take them to the sale barn, just like everybody else does with their cattle, ours are bringing, I don't know, 40% of what everybody else's is.
And is that weight? What's that?
No, it's just because they don't like ours. Everybody wants the Angus, the Charolais, the Red Angus, the Beef Master, because that's beef, to them, because they can grow them so much faster. They do grow so much faster.
Right.
And that's what I mean is like, with ours, we're losing from the word go.
Unless you have that breeding program that takes off.
Unless you can get it just right and get that potion just right.
And what's that look like as far as, I know guys that, like, I'm Randy Holsey.
Right.
You probably know Randy.
Oh, yeah.
And I grew up, that's kind of my stomping grounds is when I started getting on.
Yeah.
But, he's had a lot of bulls that have been at the very top, but you know what, he sold them when they were really young.
Yeah.
So it seems like some guys really, they breed good, and then they sell them, instead of taking that risk of pushing it. And what's the risk reward in that really?
Well, my deal is I hate rider bulls. I do not want rider bulls.
So you're cycling, sir. That's kind of your.
Yep. That's my deal. I want to sell them whenever they're young, because at the end of the day, if you think about it, if they're a yearling or a 2-year-old, you've got less feed in them, which is also less money. You got less time in them, because you've only had to mess with them for 1 year, maybe 2. They also have chances to win money as yearlings and 2-year-olds with the dummy, which is big time money.
Yep.
So your chances of selling them for really good money is that yearling and 2-year-old year. Now, I'm not saying that you can't sell them for good money after that. You can, for sure. But as far as like what I'm wanting to do, it's I want to sell them as quick as I can, because you got least amount of money in them, most amount of money back. Because by the time something's, let's just say a 3-year-old. Okay, by the time a 3-year-old is 3 years old, you are going to, I don't care who you are going to have a minimum of $3,500 just in feed in that bull, like money-wise.
Money-wise, yeah.
So everybody's talking about, hey, I sold this 3-year-old for $3,000. I sold this one for $2,500. I sold this one for $4,000. You lost money.
You lost money.
Money. You sold one for $3,000. Yeah, okay, you lost $500.
And you see that too.
You see it all the time.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean. You got them as a yearling. In my mind, it's $3,500 might be actually a little bit light, because how I look at it is.
Well, you probably still got that's just feed and stuff. You also have bulls being bulls.
Yep. And tearing stuff up.
Yep. So the maintenance probably,
on top of everything else.
It's
so that's
quite a bit.
That's what I mean. It's like you add all that stuff in, you're probably talking more like $4,000.
Yeah, that's not even depending on what your setup is.
Exactly.
Land is a big deal.
And
like, is this land that you inherited? Is this land that you purchased?
Yep. Truck, trailer.
Do you have to expand?
Yep.
Freaking truck and trailers.
Yep.
What are you looking at that? 100,000 plus a.
If you want a dang nice rig to go up and down the road right now, yeah, you're talking 75,000 if you sneak around.
You sneak around.
Yeah. Huh. And that's what I mean. So that's what I'm saying. We're the dumbest people. We're losing from the word go.
So you gotta love it. It
has
to be a passion.
You have to love it. Yes, because like I said, if you don't, you're actually going to look at the numbers. And as soon as you look at the numbers, you're like, no, I'm going to go buy a mansion in Malibu and be done with this. But that is the thing about it, and I love it. I mean, it's my everyday. And then just like that, I rode bulls professionally for 11 years. 11, 12, I don't even know. A lot. A couple of them.
You made the World Finals 5 times?
4 times.
4 times.
Yep. And that's what I mean. Like, it's my life.
Yeah.
And I've always raised these bulls while I was competing.
Okay.
But I was never able to really focus on it because I was competing. And I really didn't care. You know what I mean? Like, I was just doing what I knew was right. And then it was just like, who cares?
That's just life.
Yeah, it's like, who cares? It doesn't matter. Like, that deal is just, so I can have fun whenever I'm not riding.
Right.
And then now, towards the end of my career, then I started knowing, I was like, I'm fixing to have to transfer over. Like, we better dig into this, get the science out of it, really pay attention and breed stuff right. And like I said, now, it was just a smooth transition right into it.
Yeah.
Because I already had it, So I've been working on it since I was 11 years old, 29 and a half now. So It's not like I just all of a sudden one day was like, I think I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
And then did it. No, it's been a long time in the process. And no joke. I mean, whenever I say you got to love it, and which, like I just said, too, I was a lazy ass about it. So don't take this the wrong way either. But I did not make money on the buck and bull side until 3 years ago, 4 years ago, maybe 4.
And so
Like,
that took time. That
yeah,
was a process.
yeah, like it was basically 15 years, and like I didn't make money, like period.
And how much do these guys are making? How, like, you know, when you actually look at it, like how many of these guys are just scraping by, or how many of them are actually
Are you talking like in general?
in general?
Oh.
Yeah,
Man, probably a lot.
because there's a ton. Well, maybe the bull teams have helped.
I
Maybe?
think so. I think they have because now you know you have an outlet for a really solid bull.
Yeah.
Not well, even like right now, truthfully, but before bull teams was a real big deal. If your bull wasn't the buckinest thing in this world, nobody wanted it.
Yeah, you're.
And if it wasn't a practice bull, nobody wanted it.
Yeah.
So I mean, you were screwed either way. But then the bull team come around, so now you're 21 and a half, 21 and 3/4 point bulls. They have a home now.
And it raises the value of them too, so which helps on the guy raising them.
Exactly.
You know?
Yep. And that's what I mean is like, there's a lot of people that don't like the bull team deal. Whatever. They need to get over it, in my opinion. Like, I think it's great.
It's well, whether you like it or not, it's here. It's not going
And
anywhere.
it ain't going anywhere.
It's not going
Yep.
anywhere.
And they saying it's ruining bull riders. Look, I get it. It's probably not making more bull riders, but at the same time too, sometimes, just like we were talking, sometimes you need a break.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need to just get on something that's nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you
100%.
can go win money
Right.
on something nice.
Well, it's kind of like this, you know, too, like, you know, just stepping down a level,
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
coming back from, you know, a big injury, you're
Yeah.
off for 6 months. Who did Lucas Davino? Good
Yeah.
example this year. He came back, and the status quo would say, you need to be a cowboy, you need to jump right back on the UTV.
Yep.
And you know what he said?
No.
No, he said, I know what I'm about to step into when I get on these bulls.
Yep.
Instead, I'm going to spend 2 months. It was like 2 months, 2.5 months. And he kind of took that nice stride,
Exactly.
got the timing back. You know, with me, like when I got hurt in, so, heck, it was before my knee surgery, so it had been 21. I was like 88 1/4 and broke my collarbone. And I came back from that collarbone, you know, it was 3 months. And they wouldn't let me get on bulls. They said, look, you either take your spots on for your injury exemptions,
Yeah, exemptions.
or you lose them. So then I'm just like, well, here we go. And at that time, like I was coming back, it was OKC, it was Kansas City. It was like, all right, here we go. We're about to dive off in there. And you know, but then so you see those two sides where, you know, like then a couple months later, that's when I messed my knee up and I went. But whenever I came back from knee surgery, I dropped down, went to, you know, deals around the house, bucked off one bull.
Right.
All of my bulls, you know, just that confidence there.
Big deal.
And I think it's huge, you know, especially with the caliber of bulls, because it's going up. It's not going down.
That's what I'm saying. Like people like me, we are the ones that are making it so hard to ride bulls. Like truthfully, because like and me, that's the thing. I don't even, in my mind, whenever I'm breeding something, I don't even think about a rider bull. I know exactly what I want them to do with the dummy.
Right.
And I'm like, if you're not 93, 94 points with that calf as a dummy calf,
then
you're not winning.
Yeah.
So
you're that guy off of Jurassic World that, you know, is in the laboratory.
Yeah, exactly.
Making these dinosaurs.
They're-
Like I'm not thinking that if this animal doesn't have the potential to just kill everybody, then it's just not going to make the program.
Exactly.
You want it bigger and scarier.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. We're the ones shooting our own selves in the foot. Because if you think about it, everybody's bitching and complaining that there's no bull riders, nobody wants to try whatever else. Truthfully, whenever I started riding bulls, whenever I was 9, like I actually got on bulls, and you know I did sheep and calves and all that before that, but whenever I was 9, I got on actual big bulls, and you could go anywhere, and literally everybody would have practice bulls.
Yeah, not anymore.
Like jump kickers, just perfect timing, maybe make a big circle or something.
Right.
Like practice bulls.
Yeah.
No. Non-existent. Non-existent.
Even the mini bulls nowadays. Some of
That's
these
what I'm
mini
saying.
bulls are like freaking like you know, in I don't even know how healthy it is. Like these kids coming
I
up.
don't think it is.
Like your body at that age, like
Yeah, I think it's
I don't think it's good. Like
Mm-mm.
you know, okay, who does it right? Um, uh, he's in Oklahoma. His boy rides Custard.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cody. Yeah.
You talk to Cody, and I think, to be honest, and I didn't know about Cody when I first started, but like looking at it, I'm like, that's a guy I wish I would have known about.
Right.
You know, that's the kind of program that builds guys.
Yeah.
And I think, too, there's another side to this. And, again, this is going to be controversial, but I believe that some guys don't have the drive in them and don't want to get on those ranked bulls.
Yep.
And I think it's okay.
Yeah.
I think it's okay for a guy to work during the week and say, I love this sport, and I want to go have fun on the weekends getting on bulls, and I can't get killed off because I got to go home.
Right.
And I got to work.
Right.
And I think those guys are the backbone. I don't think it's the professionals.
Yeah.
Look, not everybody's willing to, look down that barrel and
That's
say,
what I'm saying.
I'm about to set my hips
Yep.
in B90,
Yep.
or I'm about to get whooped
Yep.
down, and
Exactly.
I'm gonna look down that barrel every time. Not very many of them.
Yep. Not very.
Because
And I agree with you.
And that's okay.
Yep.
So we need to start too. There's a billion bulls. There's a billion bulls don't make that cut that you're not going to be 93 on.
Yeah.
Those bulls still could provide, bull team guys.
Yep.
They could provide, stock for the majority
Yep.
of this sport. And if you want to keep this sport alive, you can't start focusing on the top in the world.
Yeah.
You better start focusing on the majority, and then letting those guys, those kids coming up that have that drive,
Yeah.
they'll make that step.
Exactly.
Hey there, folks. I want to tell you about my favorite cowboy hat brand, Sombrero Brands. As a professional bull rider, I know how important it is to have a hat that not only looks good, but can withstand the toughest rides out there. And that's exactly what Sombrero Brands delivers. Their hats are custom fitted and shaped to perfection, with a level of attention to detail that's hard to find these days. But what really sets Sombrero Brands apart is the fact that they're a family-owned and operated business. Mark and Kendall Holler, the owners, and their daughter Sarah, who's only 13 but already a hat-making prodigy, are all passionate about their craft. They know what it takes to make a cowboy hat that can stand up to anything the rodeo circuit can throw at it. And get this, the founder's grandfather, Polly Holler, was born and raised at South Camp on the 4-6's ranch. These folks have got cowboy blood running through their veins, and it shows in every hat they make. That's why I'm proud to have Sombrero Brands as a major sponsor for my podcast, the Rodeo Wagon podcast. So if you're in the market for a hat that's tough enough to handle anything the rodeo throws at it, give Sombrero Brands a try. Trust me, you won't be disappointed.
And that's, it's funny that you do say that because, like I said, what people like me are ruining bull riding. I mean, we are, truthfully. I mean, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. We are. But with me, I'm in agreement with you. I didn't say it as good as you did just say that, though. I said it totally different. Meant the same thing, but that one sounded good. Because you said the part that's like, that's okay. I didn't say that. But, I mean, to me, you're right. Because not everybody wants to go to the PBR. Not everybody wants to go to the NFR. Not everybody wants to make it their only source of income.
Yeah.
And that's true. And that's what I've said is like the guys like I was, the guys like Outlaw, the guys like, your Creek Youngs, your Boudreaux, your Sage Kimseys, your Stetson Wrights, your JBs, your whoever.
Yeah.
Like that's a different breed.
It's not. Yeah, it is.
And it doesn't matter with that breed, they're gonna rise to the top. It doesn't matter. They don't care. Like I didn't care. I'd get on whenever I lived with Laramie Wilson. My practice pin was every bull he took to the Built Ford Tufts. It was just me and Laramie. They'd buck them at the house. I'd get on them. I'd ride them. And then whenever I was like, shit, I can ride these easy. I was like, time to go PBR now.
Yeah.
So
Right.
boom. Then I could go finally whenever I was of age. I was 17 getting on these bulls that nobody could warm up.
Uh-huh.
And I was running for practice. But in my mind, I knew if I am going to be there, this is what I need to get on. This is what I need to be able to be comfortable riding right here.
Yeah, and for me, it was a little different. So I didn't have the chance to grow up. I was 18. I was a senior in high school when I started riding bulls.
Right.
Didn't know anything about the sport, but I did know this. I am behind the 8 ball. And So, I think I got on my first UTV at year 3, 4 of getting on,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And, but how did I do that? Well, I'll tell you right now, the first year I went to MRCA, won Rookie of the Year, wasn't even worried about winning the title, right?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, that's good enough. Next year, Rookie of the Year, NFPB, said that's good enough. Next year, I was riding PBR.
Yeah.
And was I ready for that? Absolutely not.
Right.
But I knew the only way to get to the top was to go through those
Yep.
bulls and to put yourself in a
Make
position,
it happen.
where you're making it happen
Yep.
continually, and
Yep.
and that uncomfortability, you better embrace it.
Yep.
Not too many guys,
No.
No.
Whenever, not 9 times out of 10, whenever people get uncomfortable, they're done with it.
Yeah.
Because,
yeah.
think about it. Nobody really likes being uncomfortable. And it doesn't matter in life. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes I'll go to a place and I'll just get like a weird vibe. And I'm like, ooh, I don't like, something about it. I don't like it. And then, what do? You leave.
Yep.
Okay, bull riding is no different. Rodeo is no different. Any other sport's no different. Like, the ones that become comfortable with being uncomfortable, that's the difference maker. There's a fine line in it too. Because just like that, some people are not comfortable. They're not willing to slide up on that 92, 93 pointer or 90 pointer. They're just like, I think I really need to be back at my job Monday.
Right.
That's more comfortable for them.
Sure.
I do feel like that is a big thing of it. Is that's in which even in the top that we were talking about, there's still your guys that are even more fine with being more uncomfortable.
Oh, 100%. You get up there, yeah.
JB, prime example.
Well, there's guys that, again, this is the thing. There's some guys that you consider fearless. There's not an ounce of fear in them. And there's guys that are just as good that are very fearful, but again, that's an uncomfortable situation, and they embrace the uncomfortability, and they ride that fear all the way through it.
Yep. Exactly.
And
that's what makes them what they are.
And what makes them, it's almost that propels them to that
and
point.
That's always blown my mind.
And there's two different sides to that,
Yep.
And you're going down the road, you see both sides to it. You see both sides of it.
I've seen some guys where I'm like, how can you make yourself do this? Like, you're making me nervous, and I never get nervous. I'm like, but now just looking at you, it's like, I'm scared now, and then there's other guys that they don't care how they're sitting there trying to headbutt them in the chute. And you're like, hey, quit. That's not good for your health. Like, you'll have enough of that whenever you get out there. Just quit, Some guys try to eat their ear off, It's
it's different, and, I call it flipping the switch.
Yep.
Me and Andrew have talked about it. For me, like when I'm at home, and my temperament's generally, I'm a thinker, so I think a lot.
Right.
I prepare a lot. When I'm at home, I'm really spending time with the kids and stuff. And so when I go on the weekend, I flip that switch and I turn into a whole different animal. I don't even know if I like it. It's almost, you love it. You love it, but at the same time, like if I take a step back and look at it, I'm like, that's a different.
Yeah.
That's a different.
It is
a whole different thing.
Yeah,
like
it's a different person.
And even when I'm like training, like I make it a point now where like I do that to myself during the week. Like sometimes I'll do a full blown workout and you go run 10, 20 miles. I don't run. Like if I run, it's like a little jog.
Yeah,
warm
good
up.
pace.
It's not very. It's not helpful for training.
Right.
So I'm not doing it very much,
Right.
But sometimes it's great for mental game.
Oh yeah.
So you go do that and you freaking. This past winter, every time, it was raining out, it'd be 15 degrees out. I'm going outside and I'm running in it until your body says you're dying, and it's almost a manual flip. You flip that switch because you have to, you have to turn into that, like you're going to war.
Right.
And I was talking to a guy the other day who's up and coming, and he's coming from amateur deals, and he's just now getting on these bulls, and I said, what you need to do is learn how to flip that switch, and you're not flipping it.
Yep.
And some guys, that switch is always on.
Always on.
And they're borderline, going to be in jail every night.
Exactly. Insanity.
It's insanity. And then there's other guys who, they have to.
They have to.
And they need to learn how to flip that switch.
A little trigger.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
I'll tell you one thing too, to not to cut you off, but my. All right, so actually, I'm gonna start from the beginning of this here. I haven't told a lot of people this. I think I've told 1 or 2 people this, but there's a buddy of mine, very, very intelligent guy, and we were sitting there talking one day about the mental game and everything. He used to ride bulls. He used to do everything in rodeo, and he was very good. But he just like we were talking, he didn't want to be pounding down the road, all that stuff. Could he have? Oh yeah, easy. Easy. Because he was always right there. It was just, he was like, oh, well, I almost made the NFR, but then Washington had come up, and Sacramento had come up, and New York, and I really had to work that week, so I just, maybe next year. That's how good he was.
Yeah.
And it didn't bother him. But he was sitting there telling me that him and a buddy of his that is a psychologist, and ever since he's told me this, I was like, wow, I think about it all the time, because it's true. We are predators. We ourselves are predators. And you want to know why? Our eyes are fixed forward.
Yeah.
Because think of every other predator.
Yep.
If they have to see something behind them, what do? You have to turn and look. A bull, a deer, anything that's prey doesn't have to.
Yeah.
They can see behind them.
Right.
With looking forward. That's why, you got your predators and your prey.
Sure.
Because your predators are looking forward. At the same time, too, every predator has a smell that flips that trigger. Every one of them. Think about that. Whether it's blood, whether it's the smell of blood, whether it's a deer in the creek, and there's a crocodile.
I'm thinking just hunting. I mean, that's exactly what you do when you go deer hunting.
Exactly.
That's how you draw them in.
Exactly. That's what I mean, is like even with the deer splashing in the water and a crocodile. Yeah. Well, that splash means, hey, something's in trouble. Mm-hmm. That's me. Boom, and they take off. Wolves, coyotes, whatever, they smell blood. Bam, they're on. So we have that same instinct, because like I said, we're a predator. And we have that same instinct. So that trigger is probably not as hard as people think it is to find.
To find, yeah.
Because now everybody's is different. Mine, no shit. I love, and if anybody's ever smelt this, they know what I'm talking about. Whenever you're getting on one in the chute and he might be a little bit rough, and he burns his horn on the chute.
Oh, yeah.
There's that smell.
That smell, yeah.
Ooh, that. Bam. Like I was like, you ain't bucking. Not at all. And another weird one is, and I don't know why, but their snot has a certain smell. Like it's a real pungent, I don't even know how to explain it, but I can smell it. And as soon as I'd smell it, I was ready to hunt. Like I was ready to go. But that's what I mean. It's like, those were my two triggers.
Yeah.
Because at the same time, too, it needs to be a constant trigger.
Yeah, for sure.
The snot, always constant. Because they're always, right. They're always going to have snot. Yeah. So that one was the main one I did. But it was whenever one would burn a horn. Oh. It set me over the moon, buddy. But that's the thing, is somebody else's might just be the smell of rosin.
Yeah, for sure.
As soon as they smell that.
Putting your spurs on, just strapping it.
Smell of leather.
Yeah, smell of leather,
Yep. And that's what I mean. We all have a trigger. And we're all predators.
Yeah, for sure.
So, that's
and I think, kind of learning that, and each is unique individual, mm-hmm. So, like, hey, you need to find that's going to flip that. Yep. And then kind of every level, like, that trigger has to be, it's kind of, like in, going to amateur deals, like, I can be more relaxed and all of that. Yeah. I can, but then stepping onto that next level, and I want that. Like, I say, I kind of hate that part of it. I love it. On a hindsight, when I'm looking back at it, I don't like to see it. Like when I look at it, I'm like, man, I don't,
Right.
But when you're in it, it's a whole different level. And some guys just, I don't know if they just can't get there and they don't want to get there. Right. I mean, certainly there's different levels of, warriors.
Right. Oh yeah, there is.
There's guys that are made for that, and there's guys that are not.
Yep.
But I think, especially now with these, you're breeding better bulls.
Yep.
And you're going to find out.
Care.
They do not care whatsoever.
They don't give two shits if they take you out. They really don't. Yep. They have no remorse. So that's my thing. Is like, if a predator, and this is why I feel like it too. If a predator is going after prey, if that prey is sitting there, say a lion after a deer, just easy example. Say if that deer turns around and goes to try to whoop the shit out of that lion, you think he's just going to stand there and be like, oh, man, that's tough. Like, dadgummit. No, he's going to be like, whoa, hey, bub, calm down. I'm fixing to kill you. You know, this is my turn. So then he's going to kill the deer. Same way with these bulls. Like, you have to have that trigger, and you have to have that mindset. Now, I'm not saying you have to be like, you know, gung-ho.
Yeah.
I'm just saying something to channel you in.
Yeah, focus.
Yeah, to where you're just like, I don't care.
Hey, man, if you know what, like, you think you know, kind of rough, you know, this sport is.
Mm-hmm.
If people only knew the mindset of these athletes going in there, PETA would flip.
Yeah.
They would flip.
1,000%.
You think that you think it looks, you know, rough when you're just watching it.
Yeah.
You get in the mind of a competitor that's getting ready to go with war with one of these bovines,
Do
and
not care.
It is a
no holds barred.
It's UFC.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
you're
same
literally
thing.
ready to kill them.
And Keith, you know, I mean, heck, the other day, it was actually earlier this year, I messed up the cartilage in my ribs, and it was up in my chest, and I was like, man, I don't remember getting slammed, nothing, and sports med's like, you know, there's nothing you can do about it. They're like, this is gonna suck, and so you're just gonna have to ride through it.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. Come to find out, I know the next bull ride I went to hit my chest. I did that to myself. I was beating my chest before I got on and bruised my freaking ribs.
I didn't even know.
Had no idea.
That's what I'm saying. That's the mentality.
And then Kelly, my wife, she was watching on Pluto, and then every time she would see me and I would go hit my chest, she'd be like, "You got to stop hitting your chest." I'm like, I just.
It's part of it.
It's
part of it. And I mean to tell you, like, that's my thing. That's why I said I love it. Like, I love that because you're literally invincible. Like, you are. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, you're sitting there hurting yourself and you have no idea.
No idea.
Because all you're worried about getting this bull road. And like I said, me, I was never one, you know, to jump around, any of that stuff.
Right.
Mine was like so calm.
It's you and Skylar.
Yeah.
I don't know. It must be just, you know.
It's genetics.
It's a genetic thing.
Because
it's the same. You're in the same space. It's just it looks different from the outside.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. It's like we both. It was like Skylar's even probably better at it than I am.
I don't know how what will flat out give me anxiety watching Skylar show up 10 minutes before a bull ride, and they're like, "Hey, we're doing intros right now." Yeah, I'll get ready.
Yeah.
You know.
And then he'll get on and ride one.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying is that to me it is more beneficial, in my opinion, whenever you're talking about competing, to be that calm, like warrior confidence, you know, like, because here's my thing too. Your body already knows. It already knows what it needs to be doing. What's it fixing to be doing. It's sitting there equalizing the whole time while we're trying to get pumped up or trying to come down, whatever. It's sitting there equalizing, trying to do it for us, you know. So it's like, you know, once you feel that urge to just scream, just keep it in.
Yeah.
Because guess what? Your body's doing what it wants to do for you, what you're telling it to do anyway, but keep that in. Because as soon as you let it out, now you got to readjust everything again.
Now that's interesting too, because I feel like, you know, once you really learn, you know, that how to kind of flip that switch and like get into that spot, you have to be careful. Like if you're in the last section, that doesn't flip too soon.
Exactly.
Because you really want to hit that peak
right about the time you're getting on.
That's right. Yep. And if you do it too early,
you're screwed.
You're screwed
because
you're coming down.
The come down, the crash is insane. And like people that have never felt this way probably won't ever know. But the crash is insane. It's like you've been up for 18 hours driving, you know, and then all of a sudden like, you're wide-eyed, and I mean you know sitting there ready to just kill somebody, and then all of a sudden it's like 3 minutes later you're like, man, I could really sleep.
Yeah, no joke.
But that's what I mean. You got to learn to harness it, and that's what I do feel like. Anytime I see somebody on the back of the chutes that's really dancing around, driving, you know, letting out some scream, you know, banging on their chest like a freaking gorilla, you know, whatever, hitting their head on a helmet, whatever it is. I'm always like, man, keep that in. Like, you are.
I don't want to.
Yeah.
I just want to let it loose.
It's like everything you just worked to do right there is now gone. Like, it is now gone. But, like, with me, I'd always, you know, I had a routine. I'd do 1, 2, 3, and then I'd hit the inside of my legs.
Yeah,
that was it. Like, I wasn't doing it to, like, get me pumped. It was just a routine.
It's a routine,
Yep.
yeah.
And as soon as I did it, I was like, we're good now.
Yeah, and then once you get down on the bull, it's kind of a. And I don't know, what was your focus? So the one thing I channel focus, my channeled focus when I get down on the back of the bull is leaving the chute. It's really, I don't even think about anything else. It's just like when I'm visualizing, I'm not looking at the second jump. I'm just thinking leaving the chute.
Right.
Just like that timing, that feel, you know. It's really kind of getting that feel
right.
where you felt it so many times.
Oh, yeah.
Channeling that feeling of that feel. And then, because I know if I freaking leave the chute, you know, it's like, you know, that first 3 rounds, you know, where, you know, like in a fight, you know,
right.
it's so important. Like,
yeah.
you do that right. So it's really just kind of getting my stuff set.
Right.
And then just, you know, leaving.
See, you know, like for me, that's a good question. No, I mean, I guess
never thought about it?
Well, yeah, I mean, like, I guess all I really cared about was I was just like, fuck it. Whatever we're doing, we're going to ride him. Like, that's all I cared about. You know, I mean, that is truthful. I don't really think I ever have thought of anything. The only time, now there'd be like sometimes where you'd get on one that you knew was going to be steep out of there or something, you know, really come up in the front end and really give you a big high. But even with that, I was just like, you know, riding.
Right.
Who cares?
I think for me, it's more of just a focus thing. Now,
right. Oh, yeah.
Just, you know, distracted and stuff, like kind of like, you know, you better be looking down. You better be tracking that bull, you know.
Well, see, and it's funny, too, that you
like
say that now. Because, like, thinking back, I can remember sometimes, like, I'd be thinking about the weirdest shit. Like, the weirdest. Like, absolutely irrelevant to the point of being on the back of this bull. I'd be sitting there, you know, pulling my rope up, and I'd be like, man, do you think I might have left my bag over there where somebody might steal? I don't worry about it. It's okay. You know, then you're sitting there taking your wrap still, and then you're tying off on the pinky, and then you're like, man, I don't know if I gave that guy a check the other day or not. Yeah, it's like, okay. Then you just slide up, and then you're like, man, I wonder if I can get a Gatorade after this deal's done. And then you're like, we got to get on the bull first. We got to nod first. But that's what I mean. Like, I think of the most random stuff sometimes.
I think it's funny, too, like some of the random stuff you hear. Like,
oh, yeah.
Sometimes you don't hear nothing. And then sometimes, like, I remember I was at a Hampton rodeo, and he's flanking the bull, and I'm taking my wrap, and I forget what he said, but I answered his question, and he's like, I wasn't talking to you, bud. You're good. And I was like,
You're like,
oh, really? You weren't talking to me. I heard it perfectly, like you were asking me.
And at the same time, it's like, well, I wasn't answering you.
Yeah, I wasn't answering you, yeah.
Like, yeah, but that is true. And while you're riding, like I said, too, or like you said,
yep.
Sometimes it is like silent.
Yeah.
Like you can't even hear the buzzer. Like you're just riding, and then all of a sudden it's like all, you know, in your head, you're like, we're good.
We're good, yeah.
Like, maybe you do hear the buzzer, but it's like subconscious.
I don't know that you very rarely have you ever heard the buzzer.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen very
So what
often.
I mean, like you just kind of you know.
I do know that, like, and I've really this year like figuring into my hand, small thing that I was doing, leaving, but then so is like halfway through the bull riding, whenever my brain kicks in.
Right.
It could, you know.
Right,
Is
yeah.
into my hand, I've just started freaking gutting them.
Yep.
I mean, just kicking them as hard as I can.
Yep.
The second that happens, because I find that when your brain kicks in,
You're
most of the time you're late.
Yep.
You know,
For
and
sure.
so if whenever that happens, you just start, you know, wailing off on one. Earlier this year, I messed my foot up really bad, and like, you know, it's in the middle of the season, shortened season, which is a whole unique thing I'm gonna ask you about. But like, you can't take time off.
Right. No.
Zero. The world title this year was lost
because
of people and injuries that probably could have.
Had it been the full season,
Jose, if he really wanted to, he could have won that world title.
Oh.
But that's a different deal because Now there's a team deal, and he's getting paid a lot of money for that. So now it's like, what's my priority?
Exactly.
Win the world or go, help my team win?
Exactly.
That's a real question you got to ask yourself.
It's a hard question.
Hard question. That ain't easy.
Yep. I'm with you on that.
Kaiki, again, maybe not. I could be completely wrong on this because I don't know exactly what he did, but I know like that one year he's a coach. He won the world title in 2008.
Oh, Laramie?
What?
Laramie?
No, American. Maybe no, not 2008, 2009.
Oh, Cody Lostro?
Yeah. He went 90 and a half twice with a broken leg.
Yep.
They were saying, hey, you don't need to be getting on.
Yeah.
And he just
he's my favorite.
Well, this year for sure, that would have been the time where, you come in there, ride 2 bulls, and say, you know what, I'm just too hurt to get through it, and you win the world title. But anyway, like, you're talking about that, like with my leg, like, when I was getting on the drop barrel during the week, like, I was kicking it on purpose. I was making that foot hurt every single time. And I went to Wichita that weekend, and that was the first weekend after that happened. And the second that I felt that pain, you know what I started doing? I was gapping that sucker every single round because during the week, my body, when it went through that pain, the reaction was not to, tense up. It was to get aggressive.
To get aggressive,
And
that's smart.
That's kind of that animal side, though, that most people, you're not going to ask the sports med what you should do.
Exactly.
Yeah. They're not going to tell you to do that.
Yeah, they're going to tell you to stay home.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what I mean is like, whenever I love talking mental side. I love it. Like I love it. Like, because it blows my mind. Like, people's minds are so different, but they're really all the same. It's just different ways of looking at it.
Yeah. Perspective.
And like I said, you talk to us, we need to be in a psych ward. You go talk to a normal person, because they haven't had to do that. They haven't had to worry about that. They've just done whatever they do, and then that's good.
Yeah,
it's good enough.
Sure.
And then just like that, bar fights, everything else happen whenever you're, bull riding and stuff. And one thing about it, nobody shies away from it. Now, we might not always be happy, but nobody shies away from it. You go to a normal bar and you start a bar fight, nobody wants anything to do with it, But if there's a bunch of cowboys in there and there is a fight going on, every damn cowboy is going to be involved some way, somehow. Like every single one of them.
I think that just happened not too long ago.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. But we're to other people, we need to be in a straight jacket and put away, and nobody look at them. But to us, it's just normal.
Yeah.
Just another day.
Yeah, and I think this idea that the bull teams are going to prevent that, they're going to keep people from, kind of that mentality.
It is.
You think so?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe to a certain degree. Okay, this is what I think is going to do it work. I think less on the bull team side. First of all, it depends on what bull team you're going to, because I've been to some bull teams, and throughout the year, we're talking bull teams where, they literally only rode 2 bulls on a 2-day event.
Yeah.
One guy rode 2 bulls.
Exactly.
At a rider-friendly bull team.
Yeah,
those aren't rider-friendly bull teams.
Yeah, they're going the other way now.
Those are freaking. These bull team guys are saying, I want to win,
so
I'm going to bring some bulls that you're going to be every bit of 89 on.
Yeah.
But
you
should ride them.
Yeah.
But
you might not.
But you might not because they're good.
So either way, I'm good on the time, whether they count the time or not.
Yeah.
Those bull scores.
Well, you're looking at guys that get 3 bulls rode, 2 bulls rode, and they're not even in the money.
Yep.
And guys that are getting bulls that aren't rode are in the money because of all that works.
Yep.
But this is an interesting thing, and I don't know what this is going to do. It may not. I just thought about this the other day with the team series. Is now you have, I don't know, 6 guys. Is it 6 guys that ride, and there's 7 guys on the roster?
No, it is 5 guys that ride, 7 guys on your protected roster.
So the 5 guys that ride, and then the bulls, the coaches or whatever, however they do it, they pick and they draw 5 bulls and they match it up.
Right.
Now, that may, in return, hurt the overall bull rider.
Right. Oh yeah.
The overall bull rider.
Yeah.
Like the bull rider that's very consistent both directions.
Doesn't care.
Now this team series, if it continues that way, it's really going to become almost one-sided in individual riders.
Right.
You know.
Oh, yeah, because just 1,000%, just like you're saying. Me, I love them to the left.
Yeah.
That was in my hand. Put me on a bull to the left every day of the week, I'd still be riding.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. I love it. Yeah. But it was, away from my hand would give me hell.
Yeah.
Well, if I was on somebody's team, they're not going to give me a bull to the right.
Right.
They're going to give me a bull to the left.
Yeah.
Because why? I'm going to ride him. And the other reason why, that's going to give the team another score. So they're not going to put me on another bull than that, different bull than that.
Yeah.
So now I turned into a one-dimensional bull rider.
Sure. Sure. Yeah, that's what will. If it stays the same in what they're doing, you know it's going to probably, and you're still going to have teams that the strategy is, okay, we're going to have a guy that's dominant to the left. He can suck away from his hand, but he's good to the left. And then we're going to have a couple guys that are dominant around to the right, and they can suck around to the left. And then we'll have a couple guys, just because we're drawing 5 bulls, we may get some bulls that go both ways. Let's get a couple guys that
don't care.
That they don't care. And, it's weird because it's going to change. And it's funny because you have all of these old school guys that are now going this route. Well, they're against all of this, by the way. But
they are all about it.
They're all about it now, and it's just funny to see that transition. And as a bull rider at this point, all of this is happening. It's kind of a weird situation that we're at in the sport. So it's weird for me being inside of it, and
it's weird.
And for you, what's your thought process on the transitioning of the sport in general? And I like it, and I
like it.
I like it. I love the concept.
Yeah.
I don't know what it looks like, moving forwards, really.
See, that's me, because just like you had touched on earlier, I think it's asinine cram an entire season into 6 months. Like, that's the crazy thing that people don't think about is a normal year from January 1st to the finals in November, first weekend in November, there was 26 regular Unleash the Beast, Built Ford Tough, whatever you want to call it, events. That was 11 months. 11. There was 27 Built Ford Tough events from November till, well, basically the middle of April.
Yeah. Because then they had that. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So, 6 months on the dot. 6 months on the dot. There was one more event. 27 events in 6 months as compared to 26 in 11. And then, now you got to think about it too. Your team guys, they get 1 month off. They get June off if they want it.
If they want it, yeah.
And then, bam, you're right back in it again for another, how many was there?
11.
11.
11.
Yep.
11 weeks.
11 weeks.
Now that's not including preseason events.
Yeah.
Which are going to be probably subjective in whether they're bringing practice squad guys up and kind of getting their feet wet, kind of like a preseason football.
Yeah. But it's still, that's what I'm saying. Is like,
yeah.
I like where it's going. Here's
less of a break.
Yeah.
I will say that.
Yeah. Hey, but here's where it's going, in my opinion. Your regular season's going to be gone here in the next.
How many years?
I don't know. I'm going to say 2 years. 3 years.
Okay. Well, Sean said it on the NFP podcast. He said the goal is we're going to have a regular season. Now, again, that can change, but kind of seeing where his perspective is, and then Kent, who's the director of the teams. I don't know what the official title is, but he's head over all of that.
Right.
So Sean said that on the NFP podcast that the goal is for the team series to be the major league. That's going to be all year, right? The whole season. So they're going to make a year of it.
Yeah.
And then the regular season will still give out $1 million bonus, and it'll still happen, but it'll be kind of just a side deal where if a guy wants to go win an individual title, he can. It'll basically replace the Velocity Tour.
Right.
So, whether they can accomplish that or not, I'm sure that could change, that could look differently.
Right.
And maybe it has changed because Kent just this year, was talking and saying that the goal is to have a minor league system, where you're having a minor league team in Memphis.
Right.
And, just like every other organization. And so, like, the scaling of all of this is what's going to be intriguing to
Right.
me, and how deep. How deep, you're going to find out real quick how deep the talent is,
Yeah.
because we live in we compete in a sport where injury is not just a little issue,
Yeah.
it's a very big deal.
And it's inevitable.
And it's not like other sports on
Yeah.
that front. So what does that look like
Yeah.
when you now take that for a whole year? Now if you're going to,
And
right now, I don't
yeah.
know if you've looked, right now, one team, I believe, if the PBR is updated correct, only one PBR team is filled up with practice squad guys, and everybody's got protected.
Yeah, yeah.
And then they get 5 guys on the practice squad, and nobody even has few of these teams only have one practice squad guy.
Right.
They still have 4 options.
Right.
So I guess that begs the question on the broader structure. You add 2 more teams next year,
Right.
which they've said they're going to do. I'm guessing New York's going to be one of them because they kind of alluded to that
Right.
this year. So how big does this get, and then how deep if you are going into a minor league system?
Right.
That's interesting.
See, that's my thing too. Is like I think that the regular season is just the individual deal. Yeah, just I didn't know that you'd said that, or that Sean had said that. But I think it's going to be non-existent.
Yeah,
like, here pretty quick.
It's very possible.
Yeah.
And my guess is, if they want to expand, then what they're going to find is like we're going to have to get rid of it.
That's what I mean. And my thing too is, I don't know, could be wrong. I think that could be the detriment to bull riding, or PBR.
It'll change the fabric of all of it.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, I mean,
because-
obviously, even rodeo guys are now, putting their hat in the ring. How long that lasts,
Yep.
we'll find out.
We'll find out this year.
We'll find out real quick
Yep.
this year,
Yep.
what that looks like, and
Yep.
and then what does that do to, if they go to a full season, what does that look like?
Right.
For rodeo guys, right now, it kind of makes sense. I think you only have to go to 6.
I think 6. Yeah.
6.
That's
So
it.
you're required to go to 6.
6 weekends.
And 6
Out of
weekends.
52.
Yeah, and they can kind of pick and choose. And the big deal with some of these guys may be, I'm good enough to be go to the finals.
Right.
Let's go to the finals. I'll give you 6 weekends. I can kind of schedule
Yeah.
in pro rodeo. You go to a full season. Now that changes.
That changes it all.
Now you choose. Do you want to
Yep.
go to the NFR, or do you want to be part of this team series? Now that's where things
Yep.
get real muddy.
Exactly.
And that's
At the end of the day, that's my thing too. Is like, I'm not sure if they took away the individual season, what that would lead to, because of that fact. Because at the end of the day too, here's one thing I don't understand, and I know they're working on it, but to me it's pointless. But why and how does every team make it to the World Finals?
I don't. This is a good question.
It's like,
This is the reason. Okay, other places do similar things that I don't understand, and I'm not a huge fan of. Doesn't mean it's wrong. It doesn't mean that
right,
I've never been into college.
right.
Like only because I saw like, hey, this team's undefeated, and it's not even like there's no chance of
Right.
going to a big championship bowl game. I think they've adjusted that since. But that was always kind of my issue with that, and then like this whole playoffs thing where it's like, okay, well if everybody gets into the playoffs and any team can win it, as we saw last year,
Right.
does the regular season even matter?
Right.
And if it doesn't matter, it makes sense to go sign, okay, the roster we want for the playoffs, and then it doesn't matter whether guys can make it to
Yeah.
all the games. Hey, if you can make it to 6, and we think you're valuable enough to have you at the end,
That'll work.
that'll work.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's what I mean is like, it's interesting to me, and I know that I know there is supposed to be up to 16 teams or something.
Oh, really? I know 2.
Yeah.
I figured
2 are coming in. Yeah.
2 are coming
And
in.
I what the goal is, what I've always kept hearing the number is 16.
16.
So, and they're wanting to do that by 28, I think, 5 more
Okay.
years. And I get that, but like, to me, right now with just the 8 teams, it's like, man, you can't take everybody to the finals. Like, what are you going to cheer for? Like, why would you cheer for somebody? Because it doesn't matter if they suck ass. They're still making it to the finals. So it's like, what's the nostalgia in making it to the finals if everybody gets to go? Even if you are a loser,
Yeah,
you get to go.
That's true.
Now, craziest thing is, Nashville Stampede, I'm pretty sure, they were the dead last in the regular season, and then they come back and won. Good for them. If it was me in charge of picking teams, they would have been at home. I'd have been like you and Kansas City Outlaws. Or no, Kansas City was higher than them.
The last two, I don't know who the bottom two were. I just knew they were because that was a big deal. Like they were last coming in.
And I'd been like,
now I don't know. Did they do buys? Did they?
They
do
did
buys?
all sorts of
I'm
weird
sure
stuff.
they did some buys and stuff. I still think it takes away a little bit.
Yeah.
I guess the importance of the regular season is my thing. It's like, in every other sport, it matters. Like the reason I watch football, and I'm a Colts fan. Guess what? We didn't make the playoffs last year.
I guess we did.
Yeah, thankfully for the Kansas City Chiefs, because they don't have a very good record against the Colts in the postseason. But just saying, not even really a great record in the regular season. Yeah. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, go Chiefs.
But it's that's kind of the deal. Like that's a big thing, and then it matters more that like the draft or the free agency, whatever you want to, all of it matters even more because you're like, okay, we weren't good enough to make it.
Yeah.
Is this what kind of issue is this?
Right.
Now again, this isn't like other sports either, and that's a whole nother thing. This is more like the way I'm looking at it. It's more like live golf.
Yeah.
Now live golf is a team sport. They have a team, and there's individuals. It's almost structured if you look into live and the structure of it, it's very similar to what the PBR is doing. Very similar to this team concept, but also the individual.
More money.
Yeah, way more money. Way more money.
Maybe we need those guys.
Yeah, no joke. Yeah, like the money's a bit, and you know what? It's interesting.
Riding again.
This is the only sport where money's not talked about. Contracts aren't.
Exactly.
It's not public information.
Exactly.
Not public information.
The detriment to it, to me, is going to be the trades, the deals, the money, the everything is not public knowledge.
Yeah.
It needs to be public knowledge because, think about this. Patrick Mahomes, prime example. He got signed for $500 million.
It's a big
dollars.
Deal.
Huge deal.
Yeah.
How many 14, 15, 16-year-old kids do you think sat there and said, I'm fixing to go to the NFL?
Yeah.
How many? Millions. Yeah. Millions upon millions upon millions.
I remember when it was Pujols with the Cardinals.
Exactly.
And he signed with the Angels, $360
million?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Right.
Something asinine, too.
Yep. 10-year conduit track.
As soon as that was, it was like, I want to go play MLB. Well, PBR, it's like, oh, we had a trade here. And it's like, they'll even say in there for monster amount of money and this and that. It's like, okay, well, what is a monster amount of money? You talking 2,000? You talking 2 million? You talking 250,000? Like, what are we talking about? Because if you had a guy that you signed for $1 million for 2 years, whatever, $500,000 a year guaranteed. How many 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old kids have now just changed their mind from pro rodeoing to going to the PBR?
Yeah, for sure.
Everybody has.
Yeah.
But you want to know why they don't do that? They're trying to get people as cheap as they possibly can. And they don't want anybody to know what anybody's getting because if they do that, then they're going to have to spend money.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the right way to go about it.
And I think, too, like, with some of that, it's going to develop.
I
think that
it will. But
with where they're wanting to go, you're forced to do it. I think it'll have to, even with the money. You don't think so?
I don't think so.
Man, no. I don't know.
No.
I guess this is a big thing with the money part of it. So now that, because the PBR doesn't own any teams.
Right.
So it makes sense when the PBR is in control of it. This is an organization. This is a business. PBR is a business. Like it or not, it is what it is.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Yeah. And their goal is to make as much money as possible. They have to take care of the riders as much as they can to make sure they keep the talent. But now that the PBR's hands kind of off it, now, what's this going to look like for the ownership?
Yeah.
So the owners of these teams, how much money is in it?
Yeah.
Money means accountability. It means, okay, the Colts, I'm a huge Colts fan. You know what happened in the last few years? We went through multiple quarterbacks. We went through coaches.
Yeah.
Coaches have been getting fired.
Yeah.
Because there's accountability, because there's a lot of money to be won.
Yep.
And if there's money for the ownership, that means there's going to be lots of money for us contestants. Yep. And I think that's the concept that I like within this team series is now we have a chance where if these these owners and these teams can start making serious money.
Yeah.
They're going to be wanting to spend the money so that they can make more money, which means,
You know, to me, and I mean, I don't know if anybody's talked about it or if they've talked about the higher ups or whatever, but me and a buddy was talking about it the other day, and I had said I agreed with him. I thought the same thing, but then we also agreed too on this other part. But I think they need to do like some type of like profit sharing deal with all between the PBR and the team owners and all that stuff, to where it's incentive for everybody to really make cool shit happen.
yeah,
Like, not just, okay, hey, we're Kansas City Outlaws, what you said, since that's right down the road. But we're Kansas City Outlaws. All right, we're going to get these guys, but we ain't going to let them know how much we're paying anybody, nothing like that, blah, blah, blah. Because we don't want them to know. We don't want them to go find those same type of people for what we just got these guys.
yeah,
I think that's exactly what it is. But if it was like, hey, if we pay guys really good, make it public knowledge, get people interested based off of that money, now we are talking about more money. Not just one or just the other or just the big one or just the small one. We are talking about more money.
yeah.
For all the team owners, for the PBR, all that good stuff. And I think there needs to be something like that set up. And I could be wrong. Everybody's going to sit there, I'm sure, and say, like, oh, well, that's stupid. Why would you do that? Well, it makes everybody actually try to make it something.
Yeah.
Instead of this one being completely secretive over here.
Yeah, for
You
sure.
have no freaking idea what's going
Well,
on.
nobody, look, just so everybody knows, we know absolutely nothing.
Yeah. Like, as far as
We don't-
behind the scenes stuff,
We don't know anything.
speculation.
This is all speculation, and why? Because nobody really knows
Nobody,
anything.
that's what I'm...
And if anybody says,
My
I
point.
know something,
Yeah, my point
they
exactly.
really probably don't.
Like, yeah, my point exactly. Why don't we? Everybody knows everything about the NFL or the MLB
Sure.
or the NHL.
Yeah.
Because why? Public
It's
knowledge.
public. And I think that's the goal with it. I say the goal with it. I don't know that it's a goal with it. I think that for this to succeed, and I think it will.
Well, it will.
I believe it
1000%.
will.
And I want it to.
It'll happen. I do too.
I want
yeah.
it to. I think it's awesome.
I didn't freaking enter the draft. I didn't go to, spend weeks away from my family
Right.
to go to, every single one of these deals
Right.
because I didn't want this to happen.
Exactly.
Me and Keith aren't about to go and freaking live, on the road just about to make sure that we're doing
Yep.
everything in our power.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen because we don't want this to
Yeah.
happen.
Exactly.
But there's still a lot of question marks that are like unanswered.
There is. And that's what I mean. I want it to succeed. I think it's going to succeed. But I want it to succeed to where a run-of-the-mill bull rider is getting paid $1 million.
That would be
a year.
Yeah, that would be
Like
it.
a run-of-the-mill bull rider.
Interesting thing. I think one thing that will probably need to change, maybe it won't, but I know it's a fact, the CBS contract.
Yeah.
So the PBR with the CBS contract, I think it definitely hurts these owners.
Yeah.
And I say that because in other sports, the actual teams make a lot of money off of their contracts.
Yeah.
That's why, like,
They're individual.
I can't watch Cardinals on I have to get Valley Sports.
Right.
Right? That wasn't always the case because the contract changed.
Yep.
So that's a thing where PBR's in deep with CBS Sports. That's great, and that's been a great relationship, and CBS Sports has been awesome
Right.
in putting together all of this. But now that the team series is happening, the landscape of all of this changes, and now questions like that I think are going to be maybe that next step in what this looks like
Exactly.
for the team ownership and
to get it to where it needs to be.
Yeah.
That's my opinion too. And like I said, I want it to be where a mediocre, just a good bull rider is, making $1 million. Like, how cool, how fun would that be?
yeah,
Like,
it would be.
what do you do for a living? Oh, I ride bulls. Instead of people being like, now they're going to be like, wow, no kidding. Like, wow. Like,
That's what you do.
yeah,
right.
You are very wealthy now that you do that.
Instead of like if you say, yeah, I play in the NFL, like nobody's like, oh, what do you do during the week?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly my point. Like, oh, well, what do you do for a job?
I sleep in my van.
Yeah, it's like, that is my job. What do you mean?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, no, you can't make money doing that. But you say you're in the NFL, they're like, oh, my, wow.
100%.
100% in their mind, too. They're like, gazillionaire.
Yeah, gazillionaire,
And
yeah.
that's what I want people to do with bull riding. And I hope it's going that direction. I don't know. I mean, nobody's going to know, but
Yeah.
I hope it's going that direction. I hope somebody can keep their hand out of the cookie jar enough to make it go that direction. And like I said, I think that with the owners that they do have, they're smart people. You know, they're not dumb.
Yeah,
Like
100%.
they have a lot of money for a reason. It's not because
They're not about losing it either.
exactly.
If you think that they, you know, to a certain degree, maybe some of this can be, you know, help with taxes and stuff like that. But there is a point where these guys don't do anything without making money.
Exactly. If it don't make money, they ain't doing it.
No.
There's a reason why they have all the money they have.
If it helps with taxes, that's great. It still has to give them money.
Exactly.
Or it's
done.
Or it's done. They're not doing it.
Yeah, they're not doing it because just like that, go up to one of these people with a stupid business plan. Guarantee they're gonna be like, nah, get out, or good.
Right.
Like, but you go up there with a good business plan, they're like, oh, hey, this might work.
Yeah.
You know, so then now they're gonna invest in it. So that's my thing is like, you know, it is working. It's going to work. It has the ability to be great.
Yeah.
I really hope that the integrity of that stays there.
It's what makes this, you know, this culture and this demographic. It's what I love about this demographic. It's the reason why what I did with Western Edge App and the co-founder Vinny, we're like, look, we love this demographic.
Yeah.
It is the most genuine.
It's most
genuine. Authentic. Like,
most
you know, when we created that, it was just about how can we help this demographic. You know, what areas does this demographic need? You doing that network, rodeo network.
Yep.
You know, and you're using technology and analytics, and then, you know,
adding our own opinions.
Yeah.
Yep.
Adding your own opinions, you know, from people that are in it, and as we kind of grow and take these next steps, you know, I think that, you know, I know that we're a little bit farther behind than, you know, the mainstream.
Yeah.
But there's technology, and that can be good because now we've seen how technology has been abused. Now, you know, with the team stuff, how can we start, you know, utilizing the technology and the trends to really help connect and grow this industry.
Yep. And you know, for me too, that's the other thing is like we're not even comparable to any other professional sport in my opinion. Because at the same time, NFL's been around since the 40s, right?
Yeah.
40s, maybe 50, early 50s.
Yeah.
Late
Baseball's
40s.
been around
since 1800s.
Long time.
You know, long time.
Long time.
And, you know, tennis probably wasn't far after any of that. Not 100% sure. Golf been around since the 1800s. Like,
soccer's probably been around same.
Since the 1800s,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Football.
And, football. And probably different variations of it thousands of years ago. You know, not just a couple hundred, thousands. But that's what I mean is like we aren't. Yeah, I mean rodeo started in like early 1900s.
Cowboying's been around forever, but
like being an actual legitimate professional sport, like where this is your actual job, you'll never have to do anything else. Relatively new.
Brand new.
We're talking 20 years.
Yeah.
20 years. Because the first time they handed out the million was 01, so 22 years. So 22 years, we're talking you can actually make a living doing this sport. 21 years. We're talking 80 plus years on one, over 100 years on another, over 100 years on another, maybe a few thousand on another one.
Yeah.
So we are still brand new.
Yeah, and if you do it right, it can last.
It can.
If it's not done right, then
it's just like anything else.
It's just like anything else.
That ain't worth it.
Fade out, and it's something new.
But I think it will go right, and I think using. That's why I said the profit share deal too. Not like I'm sitting there saying everybody needs to share their money, but more like the ideas, like the
JP
mindset.
shares money with me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Me, Jose, just split it 50-50.
50-50. Because I'm a good friend.
Yeah. You know,
but
I support. You know.
Yeah, but that's what I mean is like what I think needs to be is like all the minds working together per se.
Yeah.
Instead of, you know, like I said, I think they have it like that. They might even be doing profit sharing. I might be talking on my ass. I don't know. I'm just saying.
I have no idea.
Opinion. But like I said, with right now the way they got it, I think is, you know, everybody's separate. Well, this mind ain't going to collaborate with this mind, and this mind ain't going to collaborate with this mind because why? You're going to screw yourself if you do.
Yeah. Right.
Well, if everybody was in it together, where all these minds were talking and collaborating and scheming up stuff, brainstorming stuff together, well, then now you're talking about a lot of really damn smart people in one room deciding on things for everybody,
Yeah.
not just for themselves.
Right.
You know, not just for one team or the other
for
team.
the good of the sport and
To make the sport like every other professional organization.
yeah.
Because like I said, you get all them minds in one room, you're talking about genius level.
I think too with the team stuff and bringing these owners in, and these owners are obviously going to have a voice. I do think that's going to benefit that process.
Yeah.
Going down the road.
I do too.
All right, man. It's been good having
Been
you
a
on
blast.
here. Dude, I love talking about all this stuff and
I appreciate
down
it.
the road and
Yeah.
Mason's bull riding.
Mason's bull riding tonight.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Ranked
But
bull riders too.
it's a lot. Hey, it's a one lineup too. What did we say? 38, 40, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
And I mean,
Stacked.
great bulls, and it is a stackable ride. I think me and Stu was adding it up. There's 7 PBR world finalists, 4 NFR qualifiers, and I think 10 or 12 on teams
Yeah.
here tonight.
Yeah, it's just
You know.
yeah. This is a bigger
Cassville,
event as you're
Missouri.
going to get. Yeah, in the middle of nowhere.
Full of nowhere, southern Missouri.
Yeah.
So welcome to the show.
Heck yeah, man.
Yes, sir.
Nice seeing you.
I appreciate it a bunch.
Guys, what are your handles?
The Rodeo Network.
The Rodeo Network.
Yes, sir.
Heck yeah.
That's the main one you need to follow.
Yeah,
for sure.
Follow the
Yeah.
Rodeo Network. It's
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah.
I've been watching them, and
I think they're fun.
yeah.
So hopefully everybody else enjoys them too.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yes, sir.
I'm excited for the next one to come out.
Hey, I know it.
I'm kind of upset. I was like,
I
for
know.
some reason, like every day that you're doing one, and then I'm like, that makes sense. There's the World Finals, and now every day I was looking, and I was like, it's not
Yep,
there.
Yep. No, Monday though we'll have one.
All right, good deal.
Yep.
So Monday, check out the Rodeo
Yep.
Network,
Yep.
and heck yeah.
Yep. I appreciate it.
We'll see you down the road. We want to thank our sponsors, Sombrero Brands. This is brought to you by the Western Edge app. And check out Cosmic Cowboys on Instagram. They're helping produce all of this. And it's a cool thing. Get to go down the road, talk to people, learn about this, demographic, this industry, and hopefully we can continue to give back, and help connect everybody. All right. We'll see you guys.